Hello, this is chapter 130, or the second half of New Year's Eve in Montreal. This is The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. Come in, take your seat. It's provided with love for you. Please have a seat, leave your burdens outside. Come with your good heart and good intentions, and we'll begin. Chapter 130, Old Tricks. Soon they saw the lights of the car as it backed out of the driveway. Marie looked at Bertie and said, "We'd better check on the twins. It's just too quiet." By the time they reached the kitchen, they saw two guilty-looking little boys with chip dips smeared all over their faces and chips spread around them on the table. There was a grand arch of chip dip on the wall next to the table, and Bertie guessed that Carr, sitting next to the smear, had dunked his hand into the chip dip and gotten it on the back of his hand. Bertie had seen him trying to wipe things off his hands onto walls before. That did not account for the majority of the mess, though. The look on Desi's face betrayed that he had found a way to the fridge and taken out many of the snacks Mama had left for everyone that night. There were cookies in squares with a single bite out of them strewn across the table. Tupperware containers of treats for the evening had been raided and discarded as though Genghis Khan and his entourage had come for the celebration. Carr and Desi looked at one another as soon as they saw the look on Bertie's face. They looked at Marie for a rescue. "Don't look at her," Bertie ordered, handing Alicia to Marie. "You two ladies might like to find a comfortable spot in the living room, and the men of the house will take care of this." He turned back to the boys. "No one's going to save you this time. Not from this mess. You'll be cleaning up every morsel of this mess all by yourselves. I have all night to sit here and watch you until the place is the way Mama left it." The twins had a hangdog look on their faces as Bertie handed each of them a cloth to wipe up the chip dip. But they knew that the jig was up. Before she left, Marie handed Bertie the broom from the kitchen broom closet and said, "Are you sure, Bertie?" When he nodded, she added, 11:30? And he nodded again. As the twins got busy wiping chip dip off the wall, Bertie surreptitiously adjusted the clock the first time, putting it ahead by half an hour. When they had bent their heads with the small brush and dustpan sweeping up a large pile of crumbs from the floor, he did it again. By the time the kitchen was restored, the clock read 11 o'clock. He turned to the twins and said, "Uh-oh, look at the time. We'd better finish up quickly so that we can toast at midnight." Then he warned Marie by calling down the hallway toward the living room, "Marie, we'll be bringing out the champagne pop and chips in about 10 minutes. Alicia was slumbering on the couch next to Marie, and she didn't even stir when Marie jumped up to adjust the mantel clock to read 11:20. She ran to the hallway and said, "Just in time to toast the new year," stifling a giggle. Marie opened the china cabinet and retrieved 4 champagne glasses to be ready to replicate the experience of New Year's Eve that Mama and Papa had always created for Bertie and herself. She also lit the candles on the mantel, thinking that they would be safely out of reach of curious little fingers. Soon the boys entered the living room. Bertie had marshaled them upstairs for a quick wash and change of PJs, so that they were quite presentable. They were solemn and excited as they entered the room, trying very hard to be worthy of the honor of toasting in the middle of the night. It wasn't long before there were trays of hors d'oeuvres on the coffee table, and a large bottle of ginger ale was sitting in an ice bucket next to it. For half an hour they watched the clock tick, and they snacked on the delicacies of the evening. They were no longer eating because they were hungry. Rather, they were eating for the feeling of festivity. They kept their napkins handy, and once, when Carr seemed about to wipe dip from his hand onto the couch, Desi chattered at him with dismay. "It took us all night to clean up the mess in the kitchen," thus averting another mess. The tree was still glowing in the corner, but it was nearly finished its performance for the year. Bertie made a cocktail of ginger ale and grape juice and poured it into each glass a few minutes before midnight. The clock took center stage that night as they counted down with the help of Bertie's fine watch, which the twins were allowed to hold. At the stroke of midnight, the mantel clock chimed, and Bertie kissed his sleeping daughter as Marie took turns kissing her little brothers. When they toasted and wished one another Happy New Year, not long after that, Marie said, "Goodness, look at the time. You two must be exhausted. Time for bed, and no one gets up early tomorrow morning because we will all be so very tired." She left the room with a wink toward Bertie. The twins settled into their parents' beds as happy as could be. They immediately settled down to sleep after they demanded another kiss from Marie. She could hear Carr telling Desi to be quiet and to go to sleep because it was so late as she left the room. When she turned into the living room once more, Bertie said, "I can't believe we got away with that." He had already readjusted the mantel clock to read 9 o'clock. "I can't believe we fell for it all these years," Marie added with a shake of her head. "Well, that just means that we have 3 quiet hours together, and I'm glad. It's time we had some time to catch up, don't you think? I'll go first. I have a lot to apologize for." "That's nonsense, Bertie. You always go first," she grinned, repeating the childhood taunt. As she settled down on the couch next to Bertie with inquiring eyes, she invited him to talk. With a pointed nod that he understood, she asked if he would be willing to pass Alicia over to her, and he obliged. That's the end of this chapter. Thank you again for coming. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing so that you can find us, because we really don't know how to find you. Please come again. I remain your friend, Deborah. Bye-bye.